7 days ago, Jamie Cope and Jimmy Mickey walked out into this arena to get the Welsh Open underway, and here we are. 47 matches later, with the two best players in the world this season as the two last men standing. The UK champion, Ronnie O'Sullivan, and the Masters champion, Mark Selby, and there's nothing to choose between them.
Two great players in the final. Ronnie O'Sullivan, of course, he's got the experience. He's been there before so many times. Mark Selby, his first ranking final win, possibly in front of him. There's pressure on them both, though, but it's something to look forward to. Let's have a look what happened this afternoon.
In frame one, Selby pots a great long red, lays a snooker on O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan makes a mistake. Selby made a frame-winning break of 77.
Frame 2, Ronnie got in first before missing a relatively easy blue. Mark then got in with a well-constructed 39 clearance. 2-0, Mark.
Frame 3, Selby's bunker break-off shot. O'Sullivan pots a red in the centre pocket, a break of 50. It's 2-1 to Selby.
Frame 4, a poor-struck safety shot by Mark Selby allowed Ronnie O'Sullivan to go into a 46-point lead before trying to put the black safe and going in off. This allowed Mark to get right back into the frame before Ronnie fluked a snooker, which Mark failed to get safe. 2-2.
Frame 5, O'Sullivan is on a break of 17, has a kick on the black, shows his frustration. Selby ends up winning the frame. It's 3-2 to Selby.
Frame 6, this was a scrappy affair, but in the end, a couple of well-laid snookers by Ronnie allowed him to once again level the match. 3-3.
More mistakes from O'Sullivan. He makes a vital error. Selby goes on to make a frame-winning break of 70. It's now 4-3 to Mark Selby.
Frame 8, a miss on a long red off the cushion gave Ronnie his first chance for a couple of frames. A superb 108 break once again levelled the match at 4 frames apiece. Another 9 frames possibly tonight. It's anybody's match.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to introduce the players, and first into the arena, would you welcome Mark Selby. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ronnie O'Sullivan. Four frames all then, after the afternoon's play. Another 9 frames available tonight. And first, in the commentary box, it's Dominic Dale. And good evening to John Evans.
Croeso. Very good evening and a very warm welcome. Dominic, we're looking ahead to some fireworks.
Yes, definitely. Things got a little bit bogged down earlier this afternoon. But I'm sure Ronnie will be very pleased. 2 before with Mark Selby. He was 2-0 down, remember. It's perfectly set up for this evening's session.
Thank you. Frame 9.
What
Mark
will happen?
Selby the break.
Dominic, you've been there at this stage, twice a winner of majors. How important is this first frame of the evening?
Well, it is very important, John. It just gets your momentum going and relaxes you, because you never, I know it's 4-all and both players have obviously therefore won 4 frames each, but you never really settle down until you've won your first frame of a session. It's a bit like starting again for both of these guys, almost like a best-of-9 match now. Did share a courtesy car coming down here this evening with Ronnie, and he was saying he was very disappointed that all the games went to scrappy, and he always likes to put on a bit of a show, and I think Ronnie detests tough, scrappy frames, likes fast attacking opening frames. That's his style of play, of course.
Foul and a miss.
A complete miss.
Ronnie O'Sullivan 4.
More importantly, possibly, an opportunity for his opponent to score. Effective split. Blue easier than the pink, according to Ronnie O'Sullivan. Ooh. How close did that white get?
6.
Yes, very close, John. But it's finished okay for Ronnie. That was a very good opening red to start this break, because it wasn't easy, and the only way you could get on a colour was to take the risk of splitting the bunch open in screwing back for a colour. But these reds are just where Ronnie wants them now.
7.
Sure, Ronnie will want to get the red off the black spot as soon as possible.
And can do so this time. Pink is respotted, but is not potable.
14.
So the black will do very nicely, thank you.
$21. 22. 29. 30. 37.
Not many unsold tickets.
38.
Well, this is precisely the start that Ronnie O'Sullivan wanted.
45.
Yes, Ronnie did get in early in some of the frames this afternoon, but broke
46.
down rather prematurely, didn't get the split of the bunch quite right, and had to play safety. And then the frames rather got bogged down, but this is absolutely
53.
the perfect start for Ronnie.
54. 61. 62.
62 in 4 minutes. For once, his defence not accurate. And I do remember back in 1997, Dominic,
69.
commentating on Ronnie O'Sullivan, maximum a 147 in 5 minutes and 20 seconds.
70.
Yes, scarcely seems possible really when you consider this break, which is very free and flowing, has already taken 4.5 minutes, and there's 5 reds still left on the table. Really do have to see that 147 to believe it. 5 minutes 20 seconds. That was against Mick Price,
78.
professional from Nuneaton, retired now.
Frame well won.
85.
Using the left this time.
86.
He finished the afternoon session with 108 clearance. Are we to witness another 100?
93.
Wobbled.
93. On the
Wooden
frame.
drop.
Ronnie
With
O'Sullivan.
an excellent break by Ronnie O'Sullivan. He takes the lead for the first time. 5-4.
I was going to say that, John. Ronnie O'Sullivan takes the lead for the first time in the match, and I don't think we had a frame like that all afternoon, did we, Terry?
Well, there was a few quick ones at the end of the session. Before that, they were slow going, but Ronnie looks a little bit sharper. He may feel now that he's hung on there this afternoon, got 4 all out of the session when he was behind most of the session. He may come out thinking, well, this is my final.
Yes. Anything change for Mark Selby, do you think, this evening, or does he go about his business the same way? He's that sort of player, I guess. He only knows one way to play, doesn't he?
Yes, that's right. And I think the only problem he's got, it is his first ranking win if he wins this final. He's been in the final once before in the Scottish Open. If it comes tight, that may play in his mind, but look, his temperament has been superb the last few years. He's shown how strong he is out there. But Sullivan, if he carries on like he has there, I mean, he's very difficult to stop.
I mentioned Ronnie's conversion rate earlier this afternoon. Once he gets to finals, he tends to win them up in the 70s%. I think 17 finals he's won out of the 24 that he's been in. Good stuff, isn't it?
Oh, that's a very high percentage, and he's won this tournament a few times in the past, so he'll be the more comfortable out there in that pressure tonight.
He's won this final twice in the past, and I don't need to tell John Evans that on both occasions we had a long night.
Indeed. 2004. 2005. 19 world ranking tournaments in all.
One.
Saw that a lot this afternoon, players leaving red on into one of the centre pockets from their break-off. But interestingly, Ronnie broke off left-handed there.
Six.
Red portable to green pocket.
Mark Selby 6.
Finished on the black, yes, but missed the pot.
Mark Selby knew immediately he'd miss that red. Put it onto the near jaw.
I don't think he can see sufficient of the red on the right-hand side, nearest to the rail, to pot it. And the red further left is potable, but so missable. How much harm has he done?
Well, plenty, and that man there knows it. Easy starter for O'Sullivan. Should be able to get perfectly on the black into the opposite corner.
1.
Can't really see it from here, but possibly the black, then the red along this near cush, then another black and a split.
8.
Soon see.
9.
And this is a shot that wasn't working too well for Ronnie earlier today. Splitting the bunch open, wasn't landing on a red too often.
Well, again, Dominic, you did note that, and seemingly nothing easy for Ronnie again after the split. What a recovery.
Yeah, those are the pots that you knock in when you're really timing the ball well. If you don't time them right, you often hit them thick. If you're really cueing badly, you hit them thin. But Ronnie's knocked that in so well. You can really trust his cueing. Just try to cannon a red there to hold position on another one into the same corner. Missed the cannon,
24.
but has this alternative to the right centre.
Well, the bridging on that last red was awkward, but he made it look ridiculously easy and has now carved out another route.
32. 33. 40.
Just the one available,
41.
but one is enough.
48. 49.
This was a difficult long red that Selby missed.
56.
Double kissed another red. Kept two reds down towards that right-hand corner for Ronnie. And it's when Ronnie O'Sullivan
57.
plays like this that really does put your opponent under pressure. And if anything's going to make Mark Selby struggle tonight, it's Ronnie playing like this.
$64. 65.
Well, he's making everything look ridiculously easy at the moment. The lead now of 59 points. Now 66.
72.
And the red
73.
makes the frame safe to all intents and purposes. This now is vintage O'Sullivan.
80.
Yes, he really can't play any better than this. Just shows the difference, doesn't it, when you split the bunch open. You're able to
81.
land on something and keep the break going. Although Ronnie had to put a long red after splitting the bunch open.
87.
This is
88.
just the sort of snooker that Ronnie loves to play.
$94. 95.
Selby didn't
101.
score a point in the last frame of the
102.
afternoon when Ronnie cleared with a break of 108. Then started the evening session. Selby
108.
pointless again as Ronnie got a 93.
110.
He has at least got 6 points in this frame, but little consolation.
113.
Yes, he's got some thinking to do. There's no doubt about that.
117. 122.
The first time since the first two frames won by Selby.
128.
A gap of 2 frames appears, but this time it's in Ronnie O'Sullivan's favour.
35 in frame.
This is a masterclass, isn't it, John? I do love to watch Ronnie O'Sullivan. When he plays like this, there's no better player to watch.
But you played him, Dominic, on a regular basis. How do you keep the man out?
Well, unfortunately, you just have to match him. For break building, you have to win your own frames in one visit when you get the chance, and if you don't, you can see what happens. That's the pressure that Ronnie playing like this can put on you. And I've played him enough times. In fact, Ronnie created a record when he beat me in the semi-finals of the Northern Ireland Trophy a year or two back. Beat me 6-0 in something like 51 minutes, 53 minutes, something like that. It was class anyway. It didn't take long.
And your name is in the record books.
Yes, for the wrong reasons. But it really was, I mean, it was a pleasure to witness that, really. When you actually sat in your seat watching Ronnie at the table, it's just a little bit more magical than actually watching him on the TV. You feel the shots that he's playing and the sweetness at which he strikes a cue ball, and it really is something to behold.
Cue frame 11, Mark Selby to break.
Well, it's still early days. We've had 2 frames tonight, both won by Ronnie O'Sullivan, the first in just under 9 minutes and the second in just under 10. So he's slowing up. And interestingly, the last time these two met was in the semi-final of the UK at Telford. It went to 8-all, and Ronnie then compiled a maximum 147. Does that leave scars?
Well, not really. The frame score does sometimes. If you get hammered 6-0, 6-1, that leaves more of a scar. But at the end of the day, it went to a deciding frame, so there was nothing really in it. And that's the sort of thing that always helps when you do make a mistake, as Ronnie just did. Getting away with it is paramount. But of course, you can't legislate for that. You're just as likely to leave everything on for your opponent as not leave anything on.
Nine possible frames tonight. But they don't all have to be completed. It is the first to 9.
When would you want to show Nigel Walker? Just sort of gives Snooker a good profile if someone like him is there in attendance. Yeah, former Olympic sprinter and Welsh rugby player.
No.
Our commentary, because I think he's got his headphone or earpiece in his hands. Well, these reds are getting slowly and surely spread all over the table, so one mistake from either player here could be costly. Just wonder whether Mark Selby can get through to red to the left centre, but there's no positional value because the pink and the blue won't go into the centre pockets.
Well, after breaks of 93 and 135 in no time at all, this is something of a woe time frame. Nearly 6 minutes gone, no score as yet. But as you so rightly say, Dominic, the first red and everything opens up.
Yes, you can imagine what's going through Mark Selby's mind here. It's very important for him to get the first chance in this frame, the way the reds are spread. Because we've seen the potency of Ronnie's break building so far this evening.
I don't think O'Sullivan can see that red to pot anyway. It's a very difficult pot, even to attempt, if he could see it. But the red between the green and the brown is playable, but asking for trouble, because if you miss the pot to the middle, you then snooker behind the red, stuck to the brown at the moment. Not easy. Well played. Red certainly available to the left middle pocket, but if he were to miss, opens up the whole table.
Yes, will Mark Selby feel he has no option but to just trickle into the pack of reds here, but he's trying to, or was considering anyway, drawing the cue ball back to this cushion. Never know where the reds are going to go, that's the only problem.
Does he feel pleased with the end result there? He had little other option. The first frame of the evening, incidentally, finished in 8 minutes 52 seconds. And we are yet to see a point in this frame. Well, the point scored anyway. We see the point in the frame.
Yes, that could change soon, because that was a very telling safety shot from Ronnie O'Sullivan. Purposely tried to hide those two reds together in front and to the left of the black, so Mark Selby can't trickle into those. He's got a long, dead straight red into the green pocket, but it's very risky and very difficult.
And can't get low on the white to drag the ball, to drag the white back onto cushion. So here's the siege over.
Well, that was a mistake from Mark Selby, and Ronnie can pot this red, but believe me, it's more difficult than it looks there. Well played. And it's a very good positional shot from Ronnie, because he can get through to the blue in the opposite centre.
And virtually everything on table now is potable.
6. Seven.
We waited
14.
nearly 12 minutes for the first pot,
15.
but now O'Sullivan accelerates. Surprised.
22.
Yes, didn't want to go anywhere near those two reds, Ronnie, with the cue ball. Wanted to go past them. Just got the line of the shot wrong. So it will be end of break.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 22.
But once again, Mark Selby in a lot of trouble.
He can't dig. Can't get his cue in low on the cue ball.
Just wondering whether he can possibly pot a red into the left centre, take the cue ball up towards that other red near the green pocket where he is now. It's probably the only shot that I can see, really, that offers some reward.
One, but not quite the one intended. Here we are. And the drop.
Yes, but unfortunately for Mark, he can't pot the green. I may feel obliged to have to attempt the brown into the left centre. And when he's been frozen out the match as Mark Selby has been this evening, you really don't want to have to be forced into shots like that.
Wait, yeah.
Does that pot, Dominic?
I think it will. Looking out into the arena, I'd say it does. Tendency here, though, is to undercut them. When you're nervous and the pressure's on.
Good man, well done.
Five.
There's a fabulous pot from Mark Selby. That one really had to go in from his point of view. Knew he was leaving Ronnie straight in if he'd missed it.
Six.
Well, it has to be said now that this is a glorious opportunity
9.
for Mark Selby, because everything is available.
Ten. $17. 18. 25. 26.
'Doesn't have to do anything with his whites. Reds await him.
31. 32.
'If he does pot blues and pinks with 4 of these 6 remaining reds, he would need one of those 2 slightly more awkward ones just to the left of the yellow. But I
37.
don't think the one nearest the yellow, or nearest but one, would pose too much of a problem.
$38.
I think the pink will respot without causing any inconvenience with the red alongside.
44. 45. 46. 50.
Or this starting off with a fluke, it must be remembered.
51.
But having said that, I don't think anyone will bear young Mr. Selby any ill will regarding that. Oh, I thought for a second that was stay out.
Yes, John, I think Mark Selby thought for a second that black wasn't in. Actually hit that black on a completely different angle to the one he intended, and that's why the cue ball, as you can see, is going a bit further up the table than he wanted.
A lead of 37. This is why he came for the black. He knows that if he pots this, 43 points will remain on the table, and he now leads by 44.
66.
Well, I can't really begin to tell you how impressive this break has been from Mark Selby after what Ronnie had done to him in the previous 2 frames.
67.
This is a tremendous riposte.
So the lead is 50-5-0, and if Selby doesn't pot this red, I don't see Ronnie O'Sullivan coming back to table. Indeed, he's conceded. So a victory in the 3rd frame for young Selby. Ronnie O'Sullivan now leads 6-5.
Well, something's happened between this afternoon and this evening. I'm not sure that I know what it is. Terry, any clues? What's happened? It was not the best, was it, in the afternoon session, but these first 3 frames this evening have been terrific.
Yes, high quality, you know, it's what we expected this afternoon, but it's a little different in the evening when you come out for a final. The afternoon is like fighting for position. When you come out in the night, you're either going to be champion or runner-up, and I think that both players are showing, you know, their true qualities here this evening.
Yeah, you're closer to the finishing line, I suppose, aren't you? A bit more urgency, a bit more adrenaline buzzing through, and the crowd out there will help, won't it? Terrific atmosphere.
Great atmosphere on the reception they had when they come out tonight. And yes, that gives the players a buzz. It's bound to with a full house out there. But O'Sullivan was very impressive the first 2 frames. He lost position there when he got in the balls for the first time this evening. And then the fluke from Mark Selby, that was crucial because it looked as if Sullivan could have, you know, swept him away like in an hour and a half, as he does to players.
And John asked the question in commentary of Dominic. He said, what do you have to do when Ronnie's playing like this, as he did in those first 2 frames this evening? What do you have to do? And Dominic said, you've got to counter him. If you get an opportunity, you've got to give it back to him with interest. And fair play to Selby, that's more or less what he did, isn't it?
First chance he had, more or less, in this evening's session. OK, he started with the fluke, but he needed it, to be fair, and then from there, very impressive.
Yeah, we'll see what Mark Selby's made of now, tonight in many ways, won't we? We know a lot of what he's made of. He's won the Masters. He was only beaten by Ronnie with a 147 in the UK Championship. But getting down to the business end in a final for a ranking event is very different.
It is different. There's so much you're never happy as a professional player unless you win a ranking event, especially the World Championship. And of course, Mark got so close to that. I think he gained more from that than probably the winner did, John Higgins, because, you know, he's only a young lad making his way up, and it proved to him, as he said many times, you know, how he can play under pressure, and that's what he's been doing since.
And think of the pressure that was involved with that, because 6-5 now, it could well have been 7-4, and Ronnie might have been just a couple of frames away from lifting this trophy. It's flown by this evening. One more, and it's another break. You don't really want to send them out again in case they come back as they did this afternoon.
Yes, this is the last frame before the interval, which comes after 4 frames. And a massive frame really, Dominic, isn't it?
Oh yes, it is, because if Ronnie was to win it, 7-5, just needing 2 more frames, Mark Selby really would have his back to the wall. Pots, long opening reds like that. He's got every chance to make it 6-all, and that wasn't a bad little kiss on the blue. Choice of green or brown. Brown is the more difficult pot. Green, probably the more difficult positionally. But was able to play that with an element of safety, so it took a bit of pressure off the pot.
And 4 reds already dislodged. Two factors now. Potting, of course, and then positioning.
Four. Five.
Obviously the pink will pass, as we can now see.
$11. $12. $19. 20.
Will Mark Selby play for this last remaining loose red, or will he go into the pack? If he does play for the loose red, he'll probably leave an angle on it to disturb the remaining pack of reds. Well, I think he intended to. Just gone a bit straight, so now he'll have to leave an angle on the black. Oh, he's gone a bit far here. The angle's good, but the pot is, well, with the speed that which he has to play this black to open the cluster, the black becomes a little bit more missable.
And this is where you need just a little bit of luck.
Yes, and you also need to be careful you don't pot a red as well. Didn't hit them too hard, didn't need to. The cluster opened very nicely, but the difficulty in that pot was evident there. Just cut it too thin. Now, can Ronnie O'Sullivan mount a counter-attack? 28 points behind. Doesn't have the easiest of starters.
One. 5.
The black
6.
is very close to the cushion. Now, will the pink respot and not hinder? He'd like to clear the pink away from the blue, but if it respots, will it be a nuisance? Red's available, and indeed
12.
the pink respots comfortably.
13.
Well, these first 4 frames couldn't be more
18.
opposite to the ones we saw, or the majority of the ones we saw in this afternoon session.
19.
First 3 frames this evening, 108 from O'Sullivan, a 93 from O'Sullivan, a 135 from O'Sullivan, and then that 72 in the last frame from Mark Selby. Absolutely amazing standard of break building.
25. Six.
So the black is back in play,
33.
and O'Sullivan opens up a 5-point lead. The ambidextrous Sullivan.
34.
And this opportunity arising because Mark Selby Mr. Black off its spot.
$41. $42.
And you did say that he lost position on the black.
48.
Yes, those
49.
type of blacks are okay if you're rolling them in, but as soon as you stun them in with pace to take the cue ball into the pack of reds, they always become that little bit more missable. But these last 6 frames, Selby to take a 4-3 lead, 70 break, a 65 in the same frame.
55.
108 from Ronnie to draw level at 4-all at the mid-interval in this final. And then tonight we've seen 93,
56.
135, 72. And now this 56 break from O'Sullivan as a counter-attack to Matt Selby's previous 28.
Now the difference is 35. And a maximum
63.
of 35 points available left on table. Does Ronnie go for the pot?
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 63.
He did, but also kept his right safe. Applause for the escape. Not easy, but it is potable. And if this red drops, Selby will need a snooker. Oh, one and O'Sullivan fluke. Well, Selby did fluke in the previous frame and went on to amass a 72.
4.
I don't know what was actually said, but there was a joke between O'Sullivan and Selby.
6.
Well, I think actually, John, Ronnie was alluding to the fluke you just mentioned that enabled Matt Selby to win the previous frame with that
9.
72.
Yeah, we hear that he said 1-all. Exactly right, Dominic.
13.
So Sullivan opens up a 2-frame advantage, and he gets to
18.
within 2 frames of the championship. It's that vital and that close. Frame over. Brilliant stuff.
Foul.
Yes, the foul on the final back. No worries at all for Ronnie O'Sullivan as he leads the evening interval by 7 frames to 5.